Chloe, congratulations on Kick-Ass. You did a really great job in it. When you read the script for the first time, what were your first impressions?
Well, when I read the script for the first time, I knew that it was amazing, but especially when I got to Hit Girl's role, because it was a role that I always dreamed of. You know, it was a role that, it was just so cool because, you know, I would get to do action stunts, I would get to be this leading woman that was, you know, women empowerment. And, you know, when I read it, I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to be Hit Girl, you know? It just felt so natural.
And was there a long time from when you first read the script and did the audition to when they called you back and said, you've got the part?
Well, I did the audition, and then we waited a little bit, and then Matthew was in town. And I was actually skateboarding down in Santa Monica, and my manager gave us a call, and she was like, you know, Matthew's in town, he'd like to meet you. And, you know, we ran over, we talked about the role, and, you know, from there on, we really hit it off. And then the next day I read with him, and a week later, I found out I booked it, and like the whole time, the whole week, I was waiting for the call, and I was like, oh my gosh, did I get it? Did I not get it? And I was just on pins and needles. And then when they called, I was just, it was like a breath of relief. But then I knew it was going to be amazing, because then I started training the next week, and I was right into it, and I was just like, wow, this is insane.
Now, the training, you worked with ex-Marines, you learned martial arts, you studied how to use a butterfly knife. Tell me about an average training day when you were doing the training.
Well, an average training day would be, I wake up in the morning, and I go to the place, and we start with just normal stuff, you know, working out, just crunches, push-ups. We would go outside to the parking lot, and I would do, like, you know, hundreds of frog leaps. And I'd be crouching on the ground. I'd have to leap all the way up, and if I didn't stretch my body, I would have to go back like 10 steps and do it all over again. It was insane, you know. It was amazing. They got me so fit and ready, and it was so cool. And then, you know, after that, we would train with the bow staff, which was really, really hard. And then we did flexibility, and then at the end of the day, we would do a little bit with the battle song.
That's the knife, right?
That's the butterfly knife.
How hard was it to get that?
It's actually pretty easy. It's basically just a bunch of back and forth. That looks really cool. But it's really hard. And, you know, I was doing it with the practice knife, so I'm pretty sure if I did it with a real knife, I'd chop my fingers off.
Then I met heroes that were for real.
Let's see what you can do now.
Who are you?
I'm Hit Girl. And that's Big Daddy.
When you would finish at the end of the day, would you be really psyched up and like...
Yeah, I could barely go to sleep at night. Even though I'd be super tired, I'd just be like, tomorrow's another day that I get to do it again, you know? And I'm kind of like an athlete, because I'm like a tomboy / girly girl kind of thing, because I have 4 older brothers. And so, you know, it was just so fun to do it.
So you want to play?
Now, in the film, Nicolas Cage plays your father, and you have some great scenes together in the film. Really great spark between the two of you. What was he like to work with?
He was amazing. He's literally the nicest guy you'll ever meet, literally. And, you know, just meeting him was crazy, but working with him was, you know, it was just like a breath of fresh air, you know. He brought so much to the character of Damon that I don't think anybody else could have done it the way he did it. You know, he brought this Adam West, this amazing mixture of stuff that, it was just breathtaking.
He's very passionate about his comics as well.
Yeah, he is. He's a comic book fan.
Would he tell you, like, oh, you should check out this comic or you should check out that comic?
Well, my dad's a huge comic book fan, too. My dad came to set while Nick was on set, because my dad, like, loves Nick. He was like, oh my gosh, you're working with Nicolas Cage. And so when my dad came to set, they literally were like best friends. It was hilarious. I would like come and I'd be like, okay, my dad's having an hour-long conversation with Nicolas Cage. This is kind of surreal. It was pretty funny, but my dad had like the time of his life, and I'm getting more interested in comics.
He was actually pretty good.
Good at getting his ass kicked.
And were you trying to like get a word in edgeways when they were talking? Like...
Well, I would just be so confused because they were talking, you know, my dad, you know, he collects comic books from when he was a little kid. And so, you know, they just start talking about all these comics, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. And then my dad's a plastic surgeon, and, you know, they were talking about surgery and stuff, and I was like, okay, now I'm really lost. What
was your favorite scene to shoot in the film?
I definitely say this one scene between me and Nick. It's in the end of the film. I can't really say what it is, but it's really when you see Mindy come through Hit Girl. Because the whole time when I play Hit Girl, I'm totally different than Mindy McCready. You know, I try and show the difference to where when I put on that wig, I get tough and I get hard and I go woo, you know. And then it's really when you see Hit Girl get really soft and just like Mindy, a little 11-year-old girl who's talking to her daddy, and then, you know, right when she says goodnight, it's boom, she's back. You know, she's back in Hit Girl mode. She's back to avenge.
Now, before we see a sequel, if there is a sequel, we're going to see you in the remake of Let the Right One In. Mm-hmm. It's called Let Me In.
Let Me In, yeah.
What was that like?
It was amazing to do because I got to play a different side of a vampire. I got to show something with a vampire that a lot of people don't show. You know, it shows a side that's not glamorous, it's not beautiful, it's not this amazing, you know, romantic thing. It's a very dark, deep, you know, just, it's a heavy burden that Abby has to carry on her, that is being a vampire.
And how do you balance these roles, like in terms of, you know, thinking about the characters? At the end of it, do you feel you've learned a lot more about yourself from playing each character?
Well, I definitely say that being able to play such diverse characters and roles, it really stretches my acting ability, and that's why I love doing them. You know, from Kick-Ass, which was mentally and physically challenging, and then Let Me In was so mentally challenging, and it really, you know, it let me show a different side of me. And, you know, being able to put on these characters and stuff, it almost feels like I have a bunch of alternate personalities. It's funny. It's really funny.
You don't need a power to be a superhero.
Well, you did a great job, and best of luck with everything in the future.
Thank you.
Cheers.